What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Rick Knows Hoops. I'm your host, Tyreek. And today, I'm deciding to give my NBA All-Stars for the 2021 season. Not a prediction video, but this is just who I say should be an All-Star this season. So be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So I'm going to start with the Eastern Conference. It's torn between choosing my captain for the East, but I'm going to go with Joel Embiid. He's right up there in the MVP conversation for me. KD's been amazing. I'm gonna give it to Joel because KD's probably gonna get it in real life. So I'll show some love to Embiid. He's been doing great things in Philly this season, the best team in the Eastern Conference. Then I'm gonna give my guards. Got Kyrie as one guard and Bradley Beal as the other. I know Kyrie's games played may not be, up there, but when he's been on the court, he's just been amazing this season. You can't really understate that. And it's arguable, like maybe Steph or Dame, like them is the only two guards that have really been maybe better, and that's kind of debatable, with Dame, honestly. But yeah, Kyrie in the East has been the best point guard all season, even though he's technically not the point guard, according to him. But got to give him the nod for the starting guard spot. And then my other guard, I'm gonna go with Brad Beal. Pick up the mic for this. Mad disrespectful that he was an All-Star last season or All-NBA. Should definitely be an All-Star this season, quite possibly All-NBA. I don't care what the Wizards' record is. He's the only reason why that team is relevant this season, and they're starting to play better, lately. He's leading the league in scoring 33 a game. He has to be an All-Star, and in my book, he's a starter for sure. Then I already mentioned KD. KD's gonna do what KD does, man. He's just a great all-around player, and I'm just glad to see KD back on the court, just playing great basketball, arguably some of the best of his career, honestly. So yeah, I'm gonna have him as one of my front court players. Already mentioned Embiid as the second front court player, so my last one's gonna be Giannis. Giannis is great in the regular season, always puts up really good numbers. He definitely deserves an All-Star starter spot. So my starters, I got Kyrie, Bradley Beal, KD, Giannis, and Joel as my five, with Joel being the captain. And let's move on to the bench. Now, the bench was kind of tough. Left some guys off that I did not want to leave off, but you got to do what you got to do. Everybody can't be an All-Star. So my first player off the bench, I'm going to go with Jaylen Brown. He's been stepping up his game to another level, levels that people did not think that he could reach, but just continues to expand his game, both as a scorer and as a playmaker, also getting a lot better in that department. He's averaging 26 a game this season, so a big step for him. And first All-Star nod. Was in the conversation last year, but this year I think it's solidified. Almost had him as a starter, but I had to give it to Bradley Beal. So, no hate there. But my next player off the bench, I'm going to go with Jason Tatum. He did miss a little stretch of the season, a few games because of virus issues, but got to have JT in there. He's another player also for the Celtics, stepping up his game, especially with the injuries that they've been dealing with. He's really stepped up his game, become a better playmaker. Scoring has gone up to a better defender. Really just becoming a more of a well-rounded player. So shout out to the two Celtic players for getting the All-Star nods. My next player, James Harden. I know he hasn't played in the East all season long, but when he's been in the East, he's been great. In shape and all that. He's really been producing, especially I think last night really solidified it for me. The game he had against Phoenix, leading that 24-point comeback, and just hitting some big shots down the stretch. And he's been efficient. He's been pretty efficient too in a lot of these games. I like to see him not having a big burden on his shoulders. So shout out to James Harden, for just doing what he does, man, and kind of changing his game a little bit. A little bit of a different player, so shout out to him. He's gonna be my next guard. And then it's where it kind of gets a little interesting. I had Nick Vucevic as a big off the bench. I think he deserves his credit, man. He's been great this season. He was an All-Star a couple years ago, and I think this season is better than his previous All-Star season. Another, true three-level scorer inside the paint, mid-range, stretching out to the three-point line now. Really, he is the Orlando Magic. They didn't have him, they would definitely just be like the worst team in the league, I think. You know, especially with all the injuries that they have going on, he's really just elevated his play. Even though they're not like in the playoff discussion, I think he deserves some all-star love. You know, as crazy as it seems. If you disagree, we can fight about it. It doesn't really matter, man. Next front court player, I got Sabonis. Yeah, back-to-back all-stars in my opinion for him. I mean, double-double machine. He really just does it night in and night out, and becoming a much better playmaker too. Like, he's really developing in that department. He just does a lot for this Pacers team. They've been struggling a lot lately, but I still think he's an all-star in my book. Now, next, the last two. The Knicks have been so much of a surprise this season, and I gotta give Julius Randle the nod, man. I have to give it to him. He's been the leading scorer for that team. Really leading play. He's been leading them in. It seems like he leads in points, rebounds, assists every game. It seems like he's just been so good this season. More consistent. His game's expanding too. He looks like the last year he was in New Orleans, but he looks better, and he's doing it in I guess a winning situation, because the Knicks are like a half game out of being like the 4th seed, I think, or something like that, from having home court in the first round. So shout out to Randle, shout out to the Knicks. I just love to see the Knicks playing good basketball. And then my last player, this was tough because I went through guys like Malcolm Brogdon, who, you know, was looking like he deserved the nod, and then, you know, Trae Young has really good like counting stats and stuff. Chris Middleton, I wanted to have Chris Middleton in here, but Zach Levine is doing some crazy stuff in Chicago. Like, it's another player. Like, if the Bulls did not have Zach Levine, they would be god awful. I mean, they're not a great team, but without him, they would be god awful. Like, they would be terrible without Zach Levine. He's almost 50, 40, 90, averaging like 28 a game. And like, the development of his game has been kind of crazy, and especially after the ACL and stuff. I want to see him get this all-star nod. I think he's gonna get it. Hopefully he does. You never know, because the reserves are voted mainly by the coaches. So, you know, coaches teams seem to value winning a lot more when it comes to all-star reserves. Like, that's what happened last season. But I think Zach Levine deserves the nod, man. I mean, he's doing it all in Chicago, even stepping up a little bit as a playmaker. You know, he's just doing a lot for that team. But yeah, that's my reserve. So got Tatum, Brown, James Harden, Vucevic, Sabonis, Julius Randle, and Zach Levine. Now let's move on to the Western Conference. Yeah, now the West. You guys should know who my captain is. He's always going to be the captain. It's LeBron James. I don't really have to talk about him too much. Everybody knows just how great LeBron is and how great he's been this season. If you've been keeping up with basketball, you should know how great LeBron is. So yeah, he's my captain. But I'm gonna move on to my guards. Steph, easily the first guard, averaging 30 a game. Really, offensively speaking, he's a lot to that Warriors team. Like, majority is going through Steph, and he's proven a lot of people wrong. Yeah, you really can't understand what Steph has done this season. He's had an amazing season, arguably like just as productive as his MVP year in 2016, the unanimous one. So shout out to Steph Curry for, you know, proving the doubters wrong. And, you know, Warriors are a fun team to watch too, and they're in the playoff race. My second guard, I got Dame. Pondered between him and Luka. I'm gonna give it to Dame because his team's better, and they've been dealing with a lot of injuries too. CJ out, Nurkic out. You know, tough loss for them. CJ would be an all-star for me if he was healthy the way that he was playing, but, you know, sadly he's hurt. But yeah, Dame definitely gets this nod. I mean, Blazers defensively, they are terrible, but Dame time is for real. Dame time is for real. Like, he wins a lot of games for them down the stretch. And, you know, he's been doing great things. Shout out to guys like Gary Trent and Melo for stepping up, you know, during the absence. I might have to do a whole Trailblazer video, you know, sometime soon. And then I already mentioned LeBron as a front court player. My next one is going to be Kawhi. Kawhi got up to, like, not a slow start, but just a quiet one. Like, he was averaging like 22, 23. Then all of a sudden he started to rev it up. He's putting up 30, 32, 35. Just having some big games back to back. And now he's averaging like 26 a game. And it's Kawhi Leonard. Like, he does great things on both sides of the floor. Clippers have been under the radar, which is exactly where they should be. I said that a couple weeks ago in one of my videos. And yeah, Kawhi has been a big reason to that. And even like when him and PG haven't played, I mean, the Clippers have still been able to win some games without them. So that's a great sign for, you know, Clipper fans everywhere. And yeah, my last front court player is the Joker, Nikola Jokic. My opinion, best big in the game, but he's also in the MVP race in Denver. I mean, really without him, you know, tough team. Like he does a lot for them offensively. Best playmaking big I've ever seen in my lifetime, for sure. He just does a lot, and you know, he's had big games this season, even scoring wise. And scoring's not really his thing, but I think he's having a career year in that department, if I'm not mistaken, or it's definitely close. But yeah, he's my fifth starter, my center. So both conferences have a center starting for me. And now I'm gonna move on to my bench. Yeah, the bench mob for the West wasn't as difficult as I thought it was gonna be, honestly. There was a couple that I pondered with, but I decided pretty quickly. My first guard, Luka, already discussed him. Got off to not a slow start, inefficient start, but he started to really pick it up. Luka Magic is for real, man. And Dallas is starting to play better, so you know, shout out to him. Porzingis has been playing a little better lately too. And they're starting to put it together a little bit, so you know, gotta have Luka in there. And then my next guard, Donovan Mitchell, the leading scorer for the best team in the NBA. Has to be an all-star. I don't know if this is two. I think this is his second. Yeah, this will be his second. So yeah, the Jazz, they got to have some all-stars because they've been so good this season. I've already talked about them a lot. If you missed my Jazz video, make sure to check that out. That's my most viewed video since I started this channel. So, you know, thank you guys for helping me out on that one. But definitely check that video out because it's a lot of Jazz talk going on around the NBA. Yeah, got to have Donovan Mitchell in there. My next is Anthony Davis, but he's supposed to be out past the All-Star game, or at least until the All-Star game. So I'm pretty sure he's not gonna play in the All-Star game. But AD is an All-Star, even though it's I guess a down year, like, you know, 22 points per game or whatever he's averaging is a down season. But AD is an All-Star, but he's gonna be hurt, so I might have an extra player for the Western Conference that should get in, you know, given that he doesn't play in the All-Star game. Next, Paul George. Paul George has been really good for the Clippers, man. Gets a lot of hate when he, you know, underperforms in a big game or something like that, but not a lot of love when he's playing great. And he's been playing great this season, taking on that point forward type role, stepping up as a playmaker, always brings it as a defender, and he's been pretty efficient this season. Him and Kawhi's kind of been on and off the court lately, so hopefully they get all that sorted out. But yeah, when he's been on the court, he's been amazing this season. Next, another Jazz player, Rudy Gobert. Gotta have him in there. I mean, his numbers probably don't just tell the full story, man. Defensively speaking, he's the anchor to the Jazz team. Like, I would like to see like him with just like 4 average defenders or bad defenders and see how good that team would be defensively, because I think they're number 2 in the league, like in total defense. And Rudy is not a reason, he's the reason why. You know, he's really the anchor to that team defensively. Next, going to the Valley, I'm gonna go with D Book. Yeah, I'm gonna go with D Book. I don't really think I should have to say too much. You know, regular season speaking, I think Devin Booker is really good. Still, you know, to be determined how in big games they perform. Got up to kind of a slow start, but really started to pick up, especially lately. He cooked the Sixers over the weekend. Was a part of that blown lead yesterday, though, but we're not going to talk too much about that. But yeah, D-Book, second-time All-Star, first time as, I think, a solidified one, because I think he was an injury replacement last year, but this time he solidified in my book. My last player, well, not my last player, but, you know, technically the 12th since I had Anthony Davis. I went with De'Aaron Fox. I think he deserves the All-Star nod this season. And you know, it's, you know, testament to, you know, a little bit of help with like James Harden leaving the conference, Cat not being healthy enough to play, or not really just that, and like, you know, virus stuff, you know, Cat missing a lot of games. Yeah, I think De'Aaron Fox deserves it. I wanted to go with DeMar. And you know what? I had Zion as the injury replacement because he's been really good. But his team is buns. His team is buns. I was pondering between him and BI, but now I think I'm gonna go with DeMar DeRozan. I think DeMar deserves it. The Spurs are well over 5. I think they're like 5 games over 500 last time I checked. DeMar. I'm gonna go with DeMar DeRozan, man. He deserves it. Close out a lot of games for the Spurs. Nobody expected him to be anywhere near this good. And he's been one of the main reasons. He's really stepping up, playing like a power forward type role. So yeah, I'm gonna go with DeMar. Sorry Zion, you're gonna have a lot of All-Stars in your future. You probably mess around and make it this year. But this is my list. It's my list. So I'm gonna go with DeMar. I think he gets the nod for me. So yeah, that's my bench. Luka, Spider Mitchell, AD technically, but he's gonna be hurt, so DeMar is gonna be his replacement. And I got Paul George, Rudy, D Book, and De'Aaron Fox. So yeah, I'm sure my list is probably not gonna be similar to a lot of people's, but hey, if you got your list or something, you know, comment them down below and let's have a little discussion about it, because you know, this is really just, it's subjective. It's who, you know, you think should be an all-star this season, not a prediction like I said. But yeah, this is my list. If you made it to this point, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I appreciate you for all the support, and I'm gonna be back next time with another one, y'all. Peace.